We're hoping that this piece can solve every single issue which we've had with the roof on my McLaren from Temu. Let me explain. There is a sensor, and that sensor sits just here that looks like this. This is what McLaren call a PE30 sensor, and what it should have coming out of it is a small plastic rod which locks into the roof. The roof which we fitted on the car is broken, and on our old roof it's broken too. But you can't buy this from McLaren. If you want to get this, you've got to buy an entire wiring loom for the roof at the cost of over £1,000. So what this sensor does is it spins as the roof turns. So as the roof comes down, that spins the sensor and lets the computer know exactly where the roof's located. And without that, it's not spinning. We need to get something made to allow this to lock into the roof, lock into the sensor, which is hopefully going to solve all of these issues and not cost us £1,000 for that.
And if you're wondering why I've got this problem with my McLaren, that's because it's been crashed 4 times previously, been upside down, and had a bad engine. But we're on a mission to fix it. Not only that, but also upgrade it with carbon fibre parts from Temu, which is where I bought this body kit. Alongside that, we're rebuilding and strengthening the engine because we want more power, and to help with that, we've fitted hybrid turbos too. But we're doing so much more than just that. Pretty much every single part that's come off this car has been upgraded, because we're trying to do so much more than wind the clock back on the damage on this car, but upgrade it to something that it never was from the factory, by turning it into a 675 LT. But at the moment, we're well and truly stuck because the roof is not working, and it's a key part to this car. But we are determined to finish the car by the end of this video. So to get that sorted, hopefully we can get the piece made which we need to make that PE30 sensor work at the machine shop.
What we're thinking of doing is machining a piece to fit in here perfectly, fit in the roof frame perfectly, so when the roof rotates, the roof can tell its exact position and the sensor does its job properly, which is why we've come to the machine shop.
So this is the lathe. This is this bar stock that we're going to make. It's currently about 8 mil. We need to bring it down to 6 mil. So we spin it really fast and we jam this tool into it, and that'll carve the side off it.
So Bob can start to make up that small rod that we need. Now on the factory piece, this is made out of plastic, but we're making it out of metal, so it's stronger. There's one side done and it fits the sensor perfectly.
That's perfect, isn't it? So if you want to learn how to make cool stuff like that, or weld, or do loads of other stuff with machines, come to the machine shop. That's where you need to go. And we have our fresh piece, which will now slot into our PE30 sensor, with a piece that will now slot into the roof and hopefully should spin the sensor as the roof rotates. That is a perfect fix, I think, and hasn't cost me £1,000 for a tiny piece of plastic. So shouts out to Bob as always. Let's try this out. Don't need that bit. Working sensors on the car. Let's give this a go.
Please work, please work, please work, please work, please work, please work.
So we can now put our newly made piece into the sensor and hopefully slot this in to its home. Go home. It's time to see whether this is going to solve all of our issues. Are we ready? Feeling confident?
No.
Good. Oh. Oh, it's trying.
Oh. Hold on.
Oh no, it's doing the thing. Oh, not again. So what's happened is the latches have fell in the wrong place and it's not latched itself properly.
It's latched in that one, alright?
Yeah.
So the sensor's definitely working, well, sort of. The roof has closed down, but it still has issues. The latches aren't sitting in the right place, which is causing big problems. But we can try and tweak this back to the shape it needs to be and go again. And it goes up, but it's still not latching. So we had Elliot come down from Car Hoods Northern, who is a specialist in convertible roofs. So I ran him through everything which we'd done so far. And with the help from Dips and his diagnostic machine, we could actually find there was still a fault with this sensor and the readings it was giving.
I think that's 830, 832, still saying intermediate.
I just seen a flash of 8:45 then, and it closed.
Keep going, yeah. It's 8:19, 8:20, 8:36 intermediate.
And even though it sounded like we were at a dentist appointment, that sensor has such fine adjustment which we needed to get perfect for the last stage of the roof closing to operate. But after countless hours of work, we finally made some progress. So the tonneau cover goes up, and then the roof folds down. It goes into its home, and the tonneau cover latches. And I can't describe how much of a relief this is to have this roof finally working, and we couldn't have done it without the help from so many people. So a huge shout out to Elliot at Carhoods Northern, Dips from P1 Auto Keys, Alex, EAS Suoercars. So many people have got involved with this and chipped in, and it really means the world.
Great success! Now we can officially get on with the rest of this car. So we've finally got the roof working, which means one thing: we can push forward with this, and we can try and get it now so it's ready to go on the road, MOT ready, and we can drive this car for the first time, which means that we need panels. We have got one warning light, which is important, left on the dash. The other ones I think will go once it's been driven and that sort of stuff. So the lambda sensors, I think both of those are faulty. I've ordered a new pair. They should be here soon. So as soon as they're here, we can put the arch liners off and stick those in. But for now, we can start getting the rest of this car together, which means starting off with the quarters. And there is some little bits I want to do before we do that. And as you can see, one of those is the air filters. Now, some of you said to sack off this insulation, which is exactly what I will do. Because apparently, it does nothing but deaden the intake sounds, which is nothing that we want. So to replace the old air filters, we've got these lovely pipe across ones, which I am gonna put a Jubilee on actually, because I'm just a bit concerned they may do that. So I'm gonna put a Jubilee onto there, and then mount that in there. And what Mickey's currently working on is a bit of ducting. This goes from the airbox and comes out of the rear quarter. It's the most annoying thing I've seen in regards to fitting body panels, so you've got to line it all up. But the original ducting was just knackered. 100mm air ducting, so we can replace the old stuff with that, fit that on here, and then the most awkward part is getting this into the rear quarter with the vent that's bonded into the rear quarter, but not knowing you're getting it in the right place until the rear quarter's in. Yeah, it's that ridiculous. So yeah, working on this at the moment, and as soon as that's done, the intake side's done, and the rear quarters can go on. Yeah. Time for a quarter. We've got an ECU bolted into it already because that is where they mount. Now we're just going to protect the areas where we've got potential for damage, because there's like no perfect science to fitting all this up. Once it's painted, it's pretty awkward, so we just want to make sure we have as little chance as possible of messing anything up basically at this point. So protecting where the spoiler goes, protecting where the tonneau cover hinge goes, and I think we're ready to rock. I can't see a thing because this is massive. So where are we going to aim for first then is the question.
Yeah.
So now that the roof works, we can finally carry on with fitting up this Temu body kit. And first off, obviously, is the quarters. Now what we can do here is slot these under the tonneau cover and also then slide in the air intakes. And even though we test fitted all of this before paint, now the car's much more complete. The quarters are definitely clashing, so we've got some more tweaks to make.
There we go, first quarter is on, vents in, fitting pretty flush, fitting pretty tidy I think with the door. That's kind of how you want it really, isn't it? Especially considering it's a Mclaren and a Temu body kit. And the only thing we're having to do at the moment just to pin it in place is a little bit of tape here. So if you see when I release that tape, that's the only difference. So there's not a lot of pressure on that at all, it's just a little push down, and that will be made up by the bonding which goes in certain areas to hold it in place. So we should be all good once that's stuck. But we don't want to stick that yet because we need to make sure everything else lines up.
Wouldn't you be shocked if you found out a car that you were potentially about to buy previously looked like one of mine? Now, thankfully, using Car Vertical, you can check out the entire history of a car, looking over its entire past to see if it's had any hidden damage, mileage discrepancies, shady MOT history. Take, for example, this Mercedes AMG GT, a car that's very close to my heart. We can see it's got a green tick for odometer, a green tick for the financial and legal status, but the yellow warning light of perishment on the damage section. And as you scroll a bit further down, you can see photos from when this car was damaged at the salvage auction. How disappointed would you be to find out that you'd bought this car and previously it had looked like that and the seller didn't disclose that information? Well, luckily with Car Vertical, they can expose all of that to make sure that you don't get conned on a car that you're going to buy. We can also see that this car is not outstanding as stolen. The mileage is looking all good, but in the legal section, we can also see this car has been exported. But thankfully, using Car Vertical, if you're in that country that car's now exported to, you can still see exactly how it was looking. And it couldn't be much easier. All you've got to do is put the registration plate or the VIN number into Car Vertical, hit go, and it's going to bring you everything you need to know about that car. One of my favourite things with Car Vertical is it gives you the full timeline of a car, so it gives you all of the information that you need about it. We can see when the damage was done, and also the fact it was exported just 7 months later. So to make sure you don't get duped into buying a car with a shady history, when you go to check it out, make sure to use Car Vertical and use discount code SLICKS, which is going to save you 20% off your Car Vertical report, and potentially save you a lot more if it saves you from buying a duddy car. So thank you to Car Vertical for sponsoring this video. Let's get on with finishing this McLaren.
Right, so today we've come down to Chris's to work on a few things. One is when we use the passenger door switch to open the passenger door, it pops the driver's door open. And when we use the driver's switch, it pops the passenger door open. The tonneau cover panel doesn't work. When you use the window switch, it's only allowing the driver's window to go up, but not the passenger window from the actual control, but it does work from this side. What I did notice is because these doors have been painted on the inside, I had a feeling that they may have put the door modules, which are these, they may have put these on the wrong ones. So I swapped them over, which sorted one bit out. I've reflashed both the modules using diode code, and now we have, I'll just show you all working. So we've got driver's window off the driver's side, passenger window off the driver's side, and now when we open the passenger door with the passenger door switch, it actually opens the passenger door. Driver's door switch, it pops the driver's door open. So that's all working. We've basically got everything on the doors working now, and also we've got the tonneau cover rear panel working as well. So yeah, that's all done now. All the coding side's done and it's all working. So yeah, and including the heater panel as well.
So another huge electrical win thanks to Dips. He's doing an incredible job. So make sure to go and subscribe to his channel. We want to try and get him to 30k as quick as possible.
There we go, that was it. Boom.
Yeah, nice.
Yes. McLaren. Got 1/4 on. Time to get the other on and see how everything's lining up. Hopefully that side's a bit easier because we've learned so much from this side. We've done all the same adjustments, trimmed the same bits, and well, we'll see if it works the same.
And luckily, with everything we've learned from the other side, we could get it fitting perfect first time. So now that both quarters are on and bolted in, it's time to test fit the rear bumper. But before that can go on the car, we've got to build it up, and that's not going to be a simple job. And the first step to that is opening up the holes on the side parts. These bolt to the carbon section. In addition to that, we've got loads of electrical bits to put on there, but there's one thing which we need to check first.
Got both quarters on, and logic here would be to fit the tonneau cover, the engine covers, and then do the bumper last. But there's an issue with that because we need to see where the exhaust is going to sit in relation to the new rear bumper, which means that what we need to do now to be able to adjust the exhaust still is fit the rear bumper up, then line up the exhaust, take the bumper off, then fit the heat shields on the top and bottom of the exhaust, Then go here, fit the engine cover, fit the exhaust cover, and then finally fit the bumper for the last time. So it's a bit of a trivial thing, but we've got to do it to make sure everything's going to line up nice. So yeah, let's see how this bumper fits.
So taking every precaution possible, we can start to fit up that rear bumper and see how everything's lining up. But already, even though this bumper and car aren't complete, we can start to see how evil it's going to look. And we also need to make sure that the exhaust is going to fit perfectly. So at this point, with the bumper mocked in place, we can mount up the tips and make sure those are centralised to both the holes in the bumpers. And I've got to admit, it's been a while since we've had this kit on this car, and I'm really impressed with how it's all coming together. The lines are looking good, everything's fitting well, and we're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
The thing is, though, if you're looking this close to it, you're going to get burned.
I think the back end is the best looking part of this car. Personal opinion, I think the 650S looked a bit old because it was the same as the MP4, whereas this is a completely redesigned, modernised version. It just looks bloody beautiful, doesn't it? But there is one thing that is missing and that can make a car, in my opinion, and it's the number plate. Now, I actually don't like the plate for this car because it's BX65, and in Leicester, BX plates are what the police have. I can't be having that, can I? So, we've got this. So we've got a running theme with some of my cars and the personal plates all ending with SLX for slicks. But we have not got that for this. We've got one better. Thanks to Reg UK, who I'll leave their Instagram on screen right now and in the description, they have sourced me what I think is the perfect plate for this McLaren. And no one's guessed it, but we have Temu. Yeah. I think I need a powered by Temu sticker on the underside of the spoiler. So thanks to Reg UK for that. Make sure to go and check them out if you want to get your dream private reg. We're going to put this back into storage for now, but that is going on the car as soon as it's done.
So we can now take the rear bumper off now we've done the test fit and start fitting up some of the heat shields around the exhaust.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And the bottom one went in as normal, but the top one is not so simple.
Where's it bolted into is the other question.
Yeah. I like to have that black bit on top.
I know where this goes.
It goes on the underside of the deck, doesn't it?
So, this heat shield bolts to the underside of this panel, but this is very different to the part that comes on a 650S. Part of the purpose of this is going to be ventilation for heat, and it's going to cause a problem, I think anyway, if we deny the car of that same ventilation. I'm going to fit this up for now and then see what I can do to recreate the 675 LT ones. But at least that is my plan. So now when I flip this over, you can see we are basically denying the car of a lot of air. So I'm thinking if we get some tin snips and then cut all the way around there. Not too concerned about these back ones because they're so small, but I want to do this one as well, just to give it the exact same ventilation as the 675 LT has, because the slots which are in this from the 650S one don't match up to this new cover.
And we'll check back in with how that went shortly, but we've got some more jobs to do before we can fit it.
Okay, so what we're trying to do now is basically be able to push the spoiler fully flat, so it's at its lowest setting to make sure it's not going to clash with the quarter, and to make sure that we're fully lined up. Supposedly you're supposed to be able to do this by just manually pushing it down, but we physically cannot move this. I don't want to break it. Got to disconnect the lines and then check the fitment. That might be enough. There we go. Almost.
Yeah, I don't want to touch it.
No, that's fine. I think by eye, this one's further back, but I almost feel more comfortable with that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd say like a nice in between. This seems like playing with fire a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, because it does slam up and down sometimes. So
yeah,
having, what's that? It says it's 4mm, nearly double that, 8mm. So maybe if we try and even them out and get 6 each side. I'm not too bothered about losing the fluid, which we've lost by undoing the lines, by the way, because we need to, one, give the engine oil a service anyway, and fix a leak while we're there. We need to fix a gearbox leak from the drive shafts, and also fix the gearbox cooler leak, coming from the gearbox cooler, so we're going to lose all the fluid again anyway. Five and a half. Yep. Right, spoiler's set, exhaust is set. I'm going to call it the exhaust cover and the engine cover to differentiate between the two parts. I think we do the exhaust cover first.
Yeah. Before the engine,
the engine cover rests on the exhaust cover, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we've already showed you why the old heat shield won't work. We have made up another piece. We actually nicked the centerpiece here off a Volkswagen Mark 6 Golf R and then trimmed it to shape basically. But that's just going to protect the carbon a bit. I know it's not the prettiest, but the heat shields from Mclaren are so expensive, and you can get gold plated ones as well, which are even more expensive. And I'll be honest with you, the idea of this build is it's supposed to be cheap. So I quite like the idea of making bits like that, making it work. From the top, you don't see it, so it's just a protective measure rather than a pretty one. So that's how we've done it.
Now annoyingly, we didn't realise that to fit this panel, we've got to remove the spoiler entirely, undoing all of our previous work. And to refit it, we've got to slot the spoiler uprights in place whilst we're fitting the exhaust cover. But once we've got everything bolted back in, we could check our measurements to make sure we were symmetrical on both sides. And then we can refit up the spoiler and line that up again too. Now all the way along this project, there's slight tweaks we need to get to make every little piece of hardware work on the car. One of them for the quarters is opening out the holes to allow the latches to bolt in, which is going to hold the engine cover down. And now we've got those in, it's on with the fuel flap, the quarters are done, and before we can fit the engine cover, we've got to fit the tonneau cover for the roof.
At the end of the day, Temu and Mclaren. We don't know which one is better, really. That's the thing. There might not be a lot between them, and we're trying to line something up perfectly when, let's face it, it probably didn't line up perfectly from the factory.
Yeah.
But I think that's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. I will give this a clean. It's not quite yet. Now, this part is the only part, really, which is technically not right for this car. The 675 LT has a different engine cover, but it didn't come with the kit, and to find a genuine one is like super rare unless you're buying brand new. I think there's one in America for a Spider, but it's $8,000, and I can't justify that. So I'm going to fit this one for now, and then either see if we can get one made in the future to mimic that one, or do something even cooler. Or wait for a genuine one to come up. Because it's not a painted part, I can just bolt it on when I get it. Rear quarters are on, engine cover's on, exhaust cover is on, tonneau and roof are all lined up, spoilers lined up. It's looking pretty mega, I can't lie. What we need to do now is start building up the rear bumper, because there's loads of little bits and pieces which need to go into it. We've got like a reversing light which we need to find a way to mount because it's just got a hole. We've got a couple of number plate lights, parking sensors, all this sort of stuff, which have no mounting points, which is fantastic. So we need to figure those out, and I'm going to start with these.
But it seems to be the running theme that nothing fits straight away, so these are going to take a little bit of fettling to get in right.
Ooh. That means it is made to measure.
So we've nailed one side and we've just got to repeat it on the other.
Boom. 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 Now thankfully, they don't supply any parking, actually no, tell a lie, they supply 2 parking sensor holders with these bumpers, and they're rubbish. The other 6, you've got to find it out yourself. I've just been on eBay and bought these universal ones, which do seem to fit quite nicely. So then, ignore the fact these ones are orange. When I poke that through there, in theory, if the hole was circular, the parking sensor will poke out nicely through there. Yeah? But the hole's not circular, which is brilliant. Every single step of the way. So, I need to find a way to make those holes the perfect size, because if they're too big, then they start looking baggy. I think, personally, they look. So let me do a bit of thinking and a bit of digging. Where's that? The thing is, I could go in there with that, but I feel like it's just not precise enough for what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like it's like weird now because they're not circular. I feel like if you're going with that,
it'll be even more
going to be even more not circular.
So in theory, that should be a number plate hole. We're just doing a practice one.
We thought it'd be best to practice on a scrap panel first, so using an old section of the bumper, we can try and make sure that we're going to get this perfect. But now I've practiced, there's no turning back on this one. I've got to make sure I get it perfect.
Wants a little bit of a...
I reckon once that's sanded, that'll be alright.
Yeah, that's nice, that is.
So now we had all of the holes drilled in the bumper and all of them the right size. Now we have to find a way to try and mount the parking sensors on the bumper itself.
Right, so now we've got to bond on the new number plate holders. These come with an adhesive on them, but it's not going to be strong enough to stick it to the carbon. So what my plan is to super glue them initially with that as well. So stick that around the edge, stick it in place. Once that's kind of set, with all of them, we're going to flip it over and then use some special glue to basically make sure it's sealed in there. And we're going to do the same with the reversing light as well.
And now those parking sensors are glued on, we're going to use some PU sealant to make sure they never come off.
It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but this is the reality of doing body kits like this. You've got to make stuff work, and this is where the saving comes in, because when you buy from Mclaren, you're going to have all of your parking sensor holders and all these nice little bits fitted already, and it'll make the fitting process a lot easier. This is the reality of it. This is what you've got to do. We're trying to make it so it's as durable as possible, but so we can still remove the parking sensors and everything works as it should. But they're now stuck, so we can wait for that to dry and then try and fit it. This is the most crucial piece we need to finish off the outside of the doors. It's the mirror wiring. If you come over here to our workstation. So the annoying thing about this is it all needs pinning. There we go.
That should help your situation.
That should help my situation. We've tested this on the driver's side. I've already built this one up because we cheated. But this actually does work when you just plug it into the driver's side. So the wiring harness is the same. We've just got to build this one up now. Get the glass in there. And we can look at fitting these to the car as well. Oh, I've got to put the glass in on the driver's side.
I'm not putting that in.
No, I don't want to put that in either.
And the first job I've got to do for that is pin the plug for the mirror. Then we can get that fed through the housing and plug everything in.
Before we can fit those mirrors to the car, we've got to fit the external door seal which goes here. It's stupidly expensive, and obviously there's 2 of them, but these are the parts that are really starting to sting on this project because there's so many of them, and obviously they're all mega money.
And now we've got the mirror built up and the seal in place, we can bolt the mirror to the door. And another small section we wanted to do was painting these bits in satin black before we put on the side pods.
We're nearly finished on the rear bumper now. Everything is stuck, everything is going on, and the final piece is the rear lights. Now this is the one thing for this car which I actually thought was pretty reasonable. A full set of rear lights, bear in mind that's 4 of them, 800 quid. I mean, it's not cheap, but I think it's reasonable. So I can bolt these into the bumper because that's where they go, and then we can try fitting this to the car. Now we've got those in, it's time for, hopefully, what could maybe be, depending on how this goes, a final fit of the rear bumper.
But obviously things weren't that simple. A couple of the light plugs just weren't going in, so we decided to take drastic action.
This is the perk of having a completely spare loop.
So we used plugs off the other loom which we had spare to repair these and have fresh plugs on there, so we know they're going to fit lovely. And everything worked apart from the indicators, but we know for a fact that dips will be able to help us sort it.
All the nasty wires seem to work, and then the 2 which we've just done, which we have done the right way around, like to add, as the old plugs work, don't work. It seems aggressive for this, but that saw works really well for putting the foam quite nice. Well, that's its own problem. I was really hoping that would go through the mesh.
But it's nothing a little bit of paint and a drill won't solve.
Looks bad.
Yeah, I think it looks spot on, to be fair. Yeah.
You can see we still have an issue back here because our roof pump is still smoking. I reckon from when we were trying to fix this the first time around, we've overcooked the motor basically, and I've had that confirmed by Elliot at Car Hoods Northern, who you saw earlier in this video. He has very, very kindly provided us with a replacement motor, so we don't actually have to replace the whole pump and have it coded in and all that malarkey. We can just replace that part. So let's get these bits out and swap her over, and that should stop our smoking issue. Shouts out to Elliot, by the way, he's been a legend. Go and check him out if you do need your convertible roof fixing on any car. I'll leave his Instagram obviously in the description, and obviously massive thank you as well to everyone who got involved with helping us trying to fix this, because it was a nightmare. But we got there in the end. For now, let's fix it once and for all. Oh, no, we have got some fluid. We might have a bit of residual smoke from stuff that had seeped through before, but we've changed the seal now, so that should burn off in theory. Sounds a bit better as well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
To be honest with you, I've got to run off now and upload the video that you saw on the GLE last week from home. But Mickey is now going to finish off putting some of these bits of interior back in. We've got some fresh seat belts to go in, which hopefully will get rid of our airbag light and a few other bits and bobs. So I'm going to hand you over to him while I go and do some back of house stuff. And for the belts, I went online and bought two. One came black, one came red. Now, apparently according to Mclaren, this car should originally come with orange belts from the research I did, but had black. So there's obviously been changed before. So we're going to try and return the interior back to its original spec by getting these orange, but that means we need to get the webbing in the other ones changed, which is why Mickey went and did this.
We're at Vibe Belts to get McLaren belts sorted. Let's do this. You made this look too easy. A pretty good timing, actually. What's your record?
Belts are now back from Mr. Vibe Belts. If you want to get the webbing in your belts changed to a different colour, or just get them fixed for something like an MOT failure, or whatever it may be, make sure to go and check him out. You can post them to him, or take the whole car to him if you fancy that too. But for now, Mickey's going to fit these up, and I shall be back in the morning.
So Mickey can set about getting this interior back together. So that's reinsulating the pump and getting that installed again. And also fitting up our new shiny seat belts, which should also get rid of our airbag light. Once those are in, you can put the carpet back in place to cover everything up. And then he can go about fitting up the rest of the trims which we removed ages ago in the project. And once he's got them all clipped into place and bolted in, that's the interior looking a hell of a lot smarter.
Right, now the interior is more or less together. There's a couple of bits we're still waiting on, which are going to be a while, I think, from the trimmers. The door cards and a couple of panels at the back here. But for now, we could still use the car on the road with it like this, with all these bits kind of cable tied up, just to get some miles under its belt, get it ran in, make sure everything's working as it should. We're not going to have any catastrophic part failures. But what I would like to do now is finish off this door, which is a little bit more complex than the other door, because the glass here smashed. And also, one of the rubbers down here is missing. So this is a bit of it's another one of those parts where there's no correct order to do it seems. So what we're going to do, I think we're going to prime here, prime the glass itself, fit the new rubber and the glass at the same time and kind of smush it into place, and hopefully that gets it where it needs to be. And we've got the correct stuff for doing it. Well, the correct stuff, but for a different car. Because when I bought my AMG GT windscreen from Mercedes, they give you a fitting kit with it, which is, all of the correct bonding stuff, which is ideal for glass. Glass is glass, it's not gonna matter. Mercedes or McLaren, it's the same stuff. So I'm gonna use this kit to fit that, and hopefully this all goes well.
So the never-ending list of jobs continues. Firstly, we're going to bond in this new window, but we've also got a new seal to go around the windscreen too, which is going to make everything fit better.
Let me explain something. The reason why we're leaving the old bond on here is because it really nicely gives us the height of where this wants to sit. So we're not taking it off because, well, it just means we've got to do that all over again. And I think it's absolutely fine. There's enough space here to be able to bond it in perfectly. There's a rough surface. It just means there's a lot less wasted product. So that's why we're doing it like this.
And we're going to use the same stuff that we used to stick the glass in to also bond on the panels which surround the windscreen. If they can hold in glass, they can hold on a bit of fiberglass too.
The windscreen surround trims are stuck. We did that with the same windscreen bond that we use on the glass over there. May as well use it once the tube's opened, and I think these are going to be solid. So now I'm going to move back onto the front end because we've second mocked this up. There's a few things that we need to sort before we can get it together for that last time. So that means now front bumper off, and then I'll show you exactly what we need to do. Right, now we said at the start of the build we're not looking to do a complete 675 LT replica because there is some cool parts available. Even though I think it is one of the best looking McLarens you can buy, we can still make it cooler. So, with that body kit that we bought, we also got these. These are parts that, to make it look like 688HS. Put a picture of it on screen right now. Boop. Looks like that. Basically, it's got a fixed rear spoiler, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but has a more aggressive front end thanks to these. So, well, I'll start with the easy one. We'll fit this, and then you'll see the difference. Interchangeable. Right, now the only difference with this is this one has an extra riv nut in it because it needs a bit more support around the front where this canard goes. So we've test fitted that, that seems fine now. But what I'm going to do now to make sure I get this in the right place is firstly, mask off the section where that goes. And then, hopefully, use this. Plenty of ink on there. Feels like heart attack now.
It's gonna work.
I hope this works first time.
It's
one of those things, I think, like you measure, they always say measure 3 times, cut once, but it's something like this. The only way we could redo that is by taking the tape off and do it again. And what's to say we get it better that time than we do this time? It appears the tape has pulled some paint. But
that part covers it.
It literally gets covered by the canard perfectly, look. Boom. What are the odds in that?
Boom.
So once we've got one side on, we can repeat it also on the other side. And how much better is that looking already? But there is another part to put on, but to get this right is going to be much more challenging.
Right, so here's the plan with this because there's no perfect science again. So we're going to get that one where we like it and then use those measurements to try and copy it to that side. I hope we get it right because we've only got one chance. As soon as these holes are drilled, there ain't much moving it, I've got to be honest.
So we got one side where we wanted it, which we thought looked good. We could drill the holes and bolt it in, but getting it to match on the other side is much more difficult. So what we had to do was get it again roughly where we think is right, then measure it to make sure it's an exact match to the other side or as close as we could possibly get it. And I don't think it turned out too bad. Visually from the front, I'd say it's near perfect.
There is no difference, they are spot on.
Right, we've took every single precaution we can, and I'm not going to measure it now it's on because we've measured it as good as we possibly can to get them symmetrical. We're just going to look at them and go, yep, that looks perfect, and forget about it. Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. I think if you measure it and find half a mil difference somewhere, it will just wind you up for life, but visually, looks good. Sweet. Right, get these parking sensors in, get this bumper back on.
Yeah, mate.
Nice.
So it's in with the front parking sensors, using exactly the same method we used before. We had a bit more trimming to do on the bumper foams, and then we could get the bumper on. And also we can fit up the new rear plate, which I think is a perfect fit for this car.
Next job, I think, is to get on with the interior. Like I said earlier, still missing the door cards, still missing a couple of trims back here, but on the whole is relatively complete, apart from the seats. But getting these seats to work with that car, like you guys said in the comments, is not easy. So we need to take a little wind back in time and do some figuring out with Dips. Dips has joined us because this is his field of expertise. I'm going to give you the lowdown because some of you said in the comments when I showed the Artura seats to you guys that we were going to have some problems, and you're right, and we're going to try and fix them with help from Dips. Here is the thing. So firstly, these seats have more features than the original seats out of the car. Secondly, occupancy sensor. We need the right one to talk to the car to make sure that it's going to be able to detect someone in the passenger seat, because not only does it activate the airbag, but it also makes changes to the suspension based on that. So we need to make sure that works, but it's not a straight plug and play thing. The plugs are different. This is the original seat plug, which has 4 wires. This is the new one, which has a lot more. And there's a whole lot more, and I really struggle to wrap my head around it. We're going to sort this out. If we don't, then we're going to stay until we do. But if you want to see how we do it, make sure to head over to Dips' channel. So he's going to do a full in-depth breakdown in how to make these seats work and talk with an older car.
Yes.
Cool. P1 Auto Keys, go check him out. You'll see a lot of them in this video because we need a lot of help on a lot of electrical stuff.
Happy to help.
So now Dips has got these fully working, you can go and see the video on his channel. We can finally fit these gorgeous MSO Artura seats into the Slick 75 LT.
Wow, great aim.
As elegant as this interior is now, and as nice as it is with these seats, and I'm quite happy with all of the dashboard and everything, it's very nice and simple, but the steering wheel is standing out to me as ugly. It's like, you can tell it's had many a greasy hand over it when it used to be a track experience car. The orange centre stripe is looking disgusting. The leather is super shiny, like it's covered in tyre shine. Even the carbon somehow has sort of managed to look a bit cheap. So I think we have a way that we can fix this, because 1, we can make it look more modern, but 2, the 675 LT does not have this steering wheel. It has this one. Yes. So this is, well, it's shared across a lot of McLarens. It is technically the correct steering wheel for a 675 LT, but also in the 600 LT, and we got this one out of an Artura. So that is going to look much better than that gammy thing. The only difference is actually the airbag on this one has a carbon fibre emblem, where this one's just gloss black, but because this one's so much newer, I think I'm just going to rock with the gloss black one. So what I need to do now, take this off, which means first job, airbag out. This will either be really easy or really hard. Yes! And really obvious hack by this point, because everyone mentioned it. Pull it off first before you take the nut all the way out, save your teeth. Boom. Did you know that one, Ross?
I didn't.
Now you do.
My teeth would be gone.
That looks better, doesn't it?
It smiles better. It actually matches the car now as well.
Yeah, big time. So we're back in familiar territory underneath the McLaren, because we've now run this car up quite a few times and we've noticed that there is still some things that we need to fix. It's got a few leaks back here. Obviously it needs its underbelly panels so we can drive it. We need to fit up the front under tray, and also all these bits here. You know, we've still got a complete void. Whilst we're here, there is plenty of jobs to do so we can actually drive this car on the road. So we're going to sort all of those out right now.
So we're on to the final push, and that means getting this car road ready, which means trying to sort out all the fluid leaks, fit in all of the underbelly panels, and so much more. The list felt huge, but we had to get this done. Then it was time to fit up the boot liner, but I needed to make sure that I had somewhere to charge the car from, so we installed a trickle charge port in there too, to make it easy to access.
So we're trying to sort out all of the little faults that are on the McLaren at the moment, all of the leaks and anything that could be causing a problem. And one of those is, I'm going to stop waving this at you, an engine management light. When you scan the car, it comes up saying lambda sensor 1 and 2 pre-cat are both reading open circuit, which means they're not plugged in. Now they obviously were, but it seems strange for both of them to have failed at once, which would be odd. But as you can see, we can test this. On here, we can do the grey wire and the white wire, which should make a circuit. There is no beep, which means this lambda sensor has failed. Now I've bought a replacement for that, which is this one here, works. Beep, 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 beep. So that means the new one is good and my test method is correct. So it turns out, because this one reads the same as this one, there is no beep. So even though it's weird, both of these lambda sensors have failed, but I would put odds on that these had already gone before the crash, because it would be very strange for two to go at exactly the same time. I think they've gone and they've just not cared. So I've got another one on the way, that should be here either tomorrow or the day after. We can get that in and that should be our engine management light fixed.
So we can get the new lambda sensors installed, and then with the help from Dips do an ABS bleed. Drop all of the oil out the car and pop in a new filter and some fresh oil, and whilst we're there also fix an oil leak from this oil return pipe.
Well, this is the reason why I changed that. That was already split obviously before we started, even though we did melt it off, but yeah, not pretty. So we've got a new second-hand one, which should solve that issue.
Right, one thing that bugs me in here, and it bugs me in a lot of cars of this age, which is annoying because this age of car is the sort of car I like, but the one thing they always lack is a good screen. Well, not a good screen, but more like the functionalities and stuff like that. 10 years ago, we didn't have things like Apple CarPlay, back in my day. So what we're going to do now is change this screen so it does have CarPlay functionality and bring it into this decade, basically. Now, in theory, this looks really easy because it all looks very accessible, very nice, but this being a McLaren means that's obviously not the case. And we can do that with the help from Motive Supplies. Now, these guys have provided me CarPlay units for 3 or 4 of my cars now, and these ones have been the best I've used, the fastest connecting, the most responsive. So I'm more than happy to put this in the McLaren as well to modernise that screen that's in there, so it actually makes it usable, and I can have my Waze on the screen and my musics and all that stuff. So fitting this is going to be a bit of a ball ache. It means stripping most of the interior out, but it's well worth it in the long run to know that I can use it how I want to use it.
So we have to pull out the entire interior pretty much to be able to access the box, which we need to fit CarPlay, but eventually we got there. And now we can finish off on the driver's door, so that means bolting up the wing mirror and plugging everything in. Now that that's on, time for the side pods. And the car is really coming together, but there's still so many small jobs to do. We've got all the windscreen trims to fit, and so many other trims all around the car too. But slowly we were able to cross all these jobs off our list, making us one step closer to getting this car on the road. We also had the carbon extensions for the doors to fit, which wasn't fun. But now those are on, we're on the last few jobs. So it's on with the rear under tray and the carbon fibre rear diffuser. And to get this car to alignment, we've vaguely got to get it driving straight, so that means taking off the rear wheels and trying to have a go getting those wheels in line. After that, it's in with the arch liners, but there's still one big piece from this car missing.
Right, last bolt for the arch liners is going in. It's obvious there's one key piece missing. Those Mercedes wheels, although they look quite cool, they are nowhere near wide enough for this car. So to drive this, we're going to need some new wheels. Luckily, the perfect guys for the job have just showed up.
Nice.
I feel bad putting them on the floor. So these are the new wheels for the McLaren, which we have got from the guys at Mania and also OZ as well, who have helped us out a bit, I think. Can you explain to us what they are and why they're so special, please, George?
So these are OZ Super Forgiata. They're fully forged OZ wheels. I've just remembered the colour.
Oh, go on.
It's matte race silver.
Yes.
Which is one of their sort of custom colours for this wheel.
Tell me they are not gorgeous. If you need wheels, tyres, or anything revolving around wheels, always Mania every single time. But now it's time to see these on the McLaren and bin off those Mercedes wheels we've had there since day one.
So now I've finally got my dream wheels for what is one of my dream project cars. We can now get the wheels fitted, talk to spec, and then lower the car onto the floor to see if all of our hard work has paid off.
Now there's one thing which I think isn't right, which is having a 650S badge here. Now, this car isn't a 675 LT, we've already named it, it's the Slick 75 LT, so it's only right we have at least one badge to match. What do we reckon? Slick 75 LT Spider, built in Woking, rebuilt in Leicestershire. That's pretty snazzy, that, isn't it? So I'm going to mount that just here, boom, like that. Exactly the same shape actually as the 675 LT badge. But yeah, that's going to be cool. I'm well happy with that, that's really cool. Thanks to the Auto guys on Instagram who got in contact with me and offered to do that. I've actually got a few spare, so I think we might have something planned for those in the future, but for now, it's on there. Next piece, go home. Leak check. Now, I suppose that is using the car. We've had a look visually, ran it up a few times, we've sorted out a few things, but we're never really going to know until we try it. So, I suppose first step is petrol station, isn't it?
Yeah.
Needs some fuel bad.
Some 99.
Yeah, needs some...
The good stuff.
It does need some good stuff. So, for now, apart from feed and live, this is done. The car isn't done, there's still a lot more to do, but visually it is YouTube done. So that means at this point, we can start to use it.
I think you've got the honour of clink the bonnet.
Oh, the final clink? No, I think that's yours.
Dude.
I know, well done, man. You've been amazing. And you lot. Ross hasn't, but... There we have it, our McLaren 650S from Temu has now been transformed into what you see here. And although it's not done, it's still got quite a few things that need sorting. You can now see how far we've come and how all of that work we've put in to get to this point is gonna look. So we've still got a lot of stuff to sort out, got a lot of jobs to do, a lot of things to fix, and a lot of stuff to improve as well. But we are now getting there. So if you want to see some more of that as well, make sure to go and check out the second channel, Chris Slicks the Second. But for now, if you've enjoyed this McLaren build, and if you're excited about what we could potentially do in the future, make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll catch you next time.